Very first time driving his new tractor. So we just bought this Kioti. I didn't know it was pronounced like that because it's kind of spelled like a Japanese word. I thought it was a Kioti or something, but it's Kioti. And it's a CX250HST HST hydrostatic transmission, and with the loader. It's actually got two buckets. It's got the third option for a 4-in-1 bucket, and it also acts as a grappler and I don't know, some other things, scraper. It's got the original bucket in the bucket, and we just picked it up. And they just unloaded it, and it's the first time Tom's ever driven it. We're gonna learn about it. We got a walkthrough from the dealership, and I'm going to show you that video.
So when starting the tractor, you do have to be sitting in the seat. There's a seat safety switch on the tractor. So anytime you get out of the seat, the tractor has to be in neutral and the parking brake has to be set for the tractor to not shut off on you. If you do get out of the seat, it shuts off on you. You just want to make sure you put it back in neutral, hold the brake down, and you can start it back up again. There is a bypass for the seat safety switch on here that we will give you. We just don't throw it in there just so that you can put it in there so you know it's in there.
Okay.
But throwing it in is very easy. So it's just this harness right back here. So you just unplug this guy right from here. Just like that. This guy stays like that. The bypass plugs right into there, and then you're good to go.
Okay. All right.
And this guy, if you ever want to put it back to a factory setting or anything like that, you just click it back in and you're all good to go. And then sliding the seat forward and backwards is going to be this little gray lever here. So you just pull this out to the side, slide the whole seat back, slide it forward. There's also a seat suspension adjustment on the seat, so that's going to be this guy right here. If you go clockwise with it, it'll stiffen up the seat suspension a couple turns. If you go counterclockwise a couple turns, it'll soften it up. So right now, as you can see, it's got a little give to it, which is pretty comfortable when you're driving around, hitting any bumps or anything like that. And then that should be it for the seat here. Your armrests do fold up so you can get down here a little easier. There's a retractable seat belt on it. You don't have to be wearing it. It doesn't have anything they'll be yelling at you if you're not wearing it, but they do recommend you wear it just in case. But yeah, so starting the tractor, you got to be sitting in the seat. You want to go ahead and push your clutch in. The clutch is only used to start the tractor and to operate the PTO. Other than that, you don't need the clutch to put it in gear or go forward or backwards or anything like that. You can also use the clutch like in a manual car when you dump the clutch to get a little more takeoff. If you're pulling a tree stump out or anything like that, you can dump the clutch while it's in gear and you're holding the hydrostat pedal forward. Gives you a little extra kick of power there.
Okay.
But yeah, so once your clutch is in, your brake's pressed in right here. You'll throw your key in here. There will be a glow plug light that pops up if it's below 60 degrees outside. Right now you don't see it, but usually it's a little yellow coil that starts up right there. Once that light shuts off, you can go ahead and start the tractor. If it's below 60 degrees outside and it's really cold, you want to start the tractor, we do recommend running the glow plug twice on these. So turn the key over, let it do its own cycle, and then you can hold the key back and run the glow plug manually. Hold it as long as you want, and then turn it on. And then that's it for that there. And then once you do get going, you can take your foot off the brake here. This also does double as your parking brake. So the way you engage that is you would push the brake down, hold this guy down. As you release the brake, it'll hold the brake there. So, and then to unengage it, you just hit the brake and it disengages the parking brake there. And then once you do have the tractor started, to get going forward or backwards, you just put it in high or low gear here. So right here is neutral. That's where you're gonna start at. Once you're ready to go, pop it into low gear. And then other than that, you just let go of the clutch, the brake, and you have your forward and backwards pedal right there. And then once you do want to come to a complete stop, you can either hit the brake. The nice thing about these hydrostats is as soon as you let off the pedal, it comes to complete stop on its own. So they're really easy to drive. But yeah. So yeah. And with all that being said, that's pretty much about it for all that stuff there. You do have all your lights and stuff right over here on this switch panel. So you got a horn there. This is going to be your running lights for your dash and tail lights on the tractor. This is going to be headlights, tail lights, and the running lights on the dash here. And then this guy here is going to be your turn signals. So you got left and right here. But yeah, then the horn there. Then the steering does also have an adjustment for the column steering here. This blue lever here. If you go ahead and bump this guy up right there, you can adjust the steering wheel to whatever height you desire there, and then you just lock it back down. That way it doesn't move on you. This guy right over here, is going to be your cruise control button. So if you're holding that hydrostat pedal down, you hit this guy, it'll lock the pedal in place. To unlock it, you just hit the brake or hit the off switch on it, and it'll shut it right off. And it will give you a little indicator light letting you know that the cruise control is on right over here. It just looks right like the button right there. But yeah, and then this guy here is going to be your hand throttle. So tractor idles right about 1,000 RPM. Working range for the tractor, you want it about 2,500 RPM. That'll be the best operating range for the tractor. You'll get plenty of power for your hydraulics on your loader or your 3-point if you're pulling a box or anything like that. If you're looking for torque, you want to go ahead and put it in low gear. If you're looking for high speed, you put it in high gear if you're going from like a neighbor's house or anything like that. But yeah, other than that, that should be it for that stuff there. You do have your hazard light switch here. Controlling your hazard lights for the tractor. But yeah, that should be it for all that stuff there. Right over here, you have your PTO selectors. So this tractor does have a mid and a rear PTO from the factory. This guy here is going to be your more commonly used, your rear PTO. So if you're using a brush hog or anything like that, or a rototiller, you pop this guy forward just like that. And then to start up the PTO, as soon as it's in here, you should be good to go. It should just spin it right over. And it will show you a little indicator light right up here, letting you know that it's on. So that little yellow light. If you do shut the tractor off with the PTO on, it won't let you start the tractor until you shut the PTO off. One of those safety neutral things, just like the gear selector and stuff. So you just want to pop that back into neutral. Same thing for your mid PTO. If you're using some kind of front mount snowblower or anything like that, you just pop that guy forward just like that. Let's see here. Well, this guy's a little stuck with this other one here. We'll get that checked out. I believe the linkage is a little stuck. Just need some oil or something here. Or sometimes these, because it goes off with a gear drive on it, you have to rock it back and forth a little bit to get it to go right up, just like the 4-wheel drive stuff. Same thing on this guy here. This is your 4-wheel drive selector. So up is 2-wheel drive, down is 4-wheel drive. And yeah, sometimes you might have to rock it back and forth to get it to go in. This guy here is the rear diff lock. So if you're holding that down with your heel, as long as you're holding it down, it'll lock the rear differential. As soon as you lift off of it, it'll unlock the rear diff. And then right up here, you do have an amplifier as well, so you can play music out of the speakers on the tractor. You just plug your auxiliary cable into there, plug it into your phone, and you're good to go. It's also got a little USB port there to charge your phone. And then right over here, it's got a 12-volt cigarette lighter port there. And then this guy here is going to be your auxiliary or your stereo switch. So if you do ever have a stereo installed up here to send power up there, you just flip that into stereo and it'll send the power to the head unit instead of down here to the amplifier. But yeah, that's pretty much about it for all this stuff here. Over on this side, you're going to have your 3-point up and down. So this will control if you put a box scraper or anything like that. This will raise and lower it. 10's going to be your highest position, 1's going to be your lowest position there. You do have a little adjustment, so if you don't want to go too far down with your box scraper, you can always set it at a certain point and lock it back down. Let's see here. Oh boy, they tightened that one up. Yeah, we'll get that loose for you. Somebody tightened it pretty hard there. Yeah. And then this guy here is for the rear remote valve on the tractor. So if you hook up like a snowblower and it has a chute deflector or anything like that, this will send power back there. It is a non-detented valve, so once you engage it, it goes right back into neutral. Oh, this one's actually detented. That's surprising. So yeah, this one will send constant hydraulic pressure to the rear. And then going forward here, it'll send pressure to the rear again. It just reverses the flow. So if you're using a backhoe or anything like that, it'll go right off of that guy there. This guy here is going to be your work light switch, so this will run the work lights for the front and the rear on the cab of the tractor. This one here is your windshield wiper switch. I'll show you on the rear windshield how it works. So if you hold it down just like that, it runs just the wiper. If you press the button down and hold it, it'll run the sprayer on it. But yeah, and then same thing for the front there. This guy here is rear window defrost. So if you hit that guy, once you see that little red light there, it means that your rear window defrost is on, and then to shut it off, just hit that rocker switch again and you're all good to go. Yeah, okay. That should be it for all that stuff there. You have a cup holder back there. The rear window does open up. They just recommend you don't drive around with it open just because of the bouncing, the way it's mounted on here. It will break right off of these hinges. But yeah, and then right over here you have your loader stick. So this guy here, if you pull back, you'll raise the whole loader up. If you go down, it'll push the whole loader down into the ground. If you keep holding it, once it gets to the ground, it will lift the front of the tractor up a little bit. And then if you go towards you, it'll roll the bucket back. If you go out, it'll dump the bucket out. And just like the other competition tractors, this one also does have that multi-port flow valve. So when you pull back on it to one side, you can go up and dump back or dump forward, all that kinds of stuff. So you can do, you know, tilt your bucket at the same time as you're using the lift up or anything like that. So if you're going into a dump trailer or anything like that, it makes it a little easier. And then on the side here, you do have a rocker switch once again, and that guy will be for the third function valve. So that'll open and close your 4-in-1 bucket there. Or if you have a snow blade or anything like that, it'll articulate it from one side to another there. But yeah. And then that should be it for that stuff there. You do have a child safety lock on the loader stick here, so if you push that guy in, it'll lock the loader stick out here. Let's see. There we go. So yeah, that locks the loader stick, and then pulling it back out, it'll unlock it there. And then that should be it for all that stuff there. This little knob here is a rated descent adjustment. So that'll control how fast or how slow your 3-point drops. It is essentially a relief valve for it, since it has no hydraulic pressure going down, only hydraulic pressure coming up. So if your 3-point ever isn't coming down, when you set it down with that lever there, it could be that this adjustment's all the way closed. So that happens a lot. You know, you're getting on and off the tractor, you'll kick it over with your heel. So it'll either come down super fast and slam into the ground, or it won't come down at all. And then you just back it off with this adjustment here. If you go towards the rabbit, it's going to open that relief valve there. If you go towards the turtle, you go all the way to where it stops. That'll completely close the valve. The easiest way to set it up, if you do have a 3-point implement at home, throw it on there, raise it all the way up, shut the tractor off. And then I like to set this all the way towards the turtle, completely locked out where it's closed. I'll put my 3-point all the way down and then start relieving the opening that relief valve. Slowly but surely, as soon as you open it a little bit, it'll start dropping nice and slow, and you get a nice slow drop out of it. But yeah, and that should be it for all that stuff there. Up here you got all your HVAC switches. So this guy here is going to be your fan speed. You have your selection of where the air is coming out of. So you have your front windshield defrost here, which will be that first selection there. And then you got front windshield defrost and the, getting air to the passenger here. Or if you want all the air coming to the passenger, you can do it right there on the last section of that switch. And then if you want hot or cold air there, and then your AC on, AC off button right there. But yeah, then you do get a nice little sun visor here. But yeah, and then you also do have a dome light right up here, so that turns it on right there, shuts it off. And then you have a fresh air and recirculation vent here, so if you open that guy, that'll recirculate the air inside the cab. And then right here will be fresh air coming in from outside. But yeah, and that should be it for all this stuff here. Any questions? Alrighty. Sounds good. So yeah, and then we'll go talk about the loader here. So on the loader, there is a couple of grease zerks all over the loader here. Starting from back here, you have a zerk in each one of these pins here. On this tractor here, it's going to be 8 zerks on this side of the loader. On the other side, it's going to be another 8 zerks as well. And then you do have a couple on your 4-in-1 bucket here. Like this guy here, I believe there should be one. I believe it's on the bottom of this guy for that pin there. There's one right here where the jaw actually opens up. So all these grease zerks you want to get every 10 to 15 hours on the tractor. If you don't put 10 to 15 hours on it while you use it, at least once a month, and that should be good to go. Because yeah, it's kind of hard to rack up 10 to 15 hours on the tractor within a couple of days of owning it. So yeah, usually once a month is what we recommend. It's always better to over grease than to under grease. So never hurts to do a little more. Yeah. And then taking the bucket on and off the tractor, you do have a nice quick attach style here tool carrier. So you just pull this guy up just like that. Same thing on the other side. Then you do the dump sequence and back right on out of it. So real nice and easy. And then when you're hooking up to your new bucket or your other implements, you just go right underneath this pocket here, tilt it forward, go underneath, pick it up, roll it back, and then you lock your locks back down and you're good to go. But yeah. And then the loader does also come off the tractor if you wanted to remove the loader off the tractor. You have these stabilizers here. You pull this pin here. Once this pin is pulled, this leg will swing down. This hole will line up right there. This pin will go right through that right there. Same thing on the other side. Once both of those are done, you come back here. You should be able to wiggle this pin just like that. So once this pin is wiggled all the way out, you set it right there in the pin holder. Same thing on the other side. Then you go to lift the loader with your joystick. It'll lift it right up out of the saddle here where it sits. Once it's up out of the saddle, you can shut the tractor off, disconnect your color-coded hydraulic lines on the other side. Once the hydraulic lines are disconnected, start the tractor back up, and then just back right on out of the loader. And it should look like that loader that's right over there standing up.
Okay.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah, and then there's also a couple grease zerks on the front axle. So for the pivot point on the front axle, pretty much the only suspension piece on the tractor, there's a grease zerk right down here. That'll be this guy right here. You want to grease that guy every 10 to 15 hours once again, just like the other ones. Now there's also one on the other side, including an axle dipstick tube as well. So that'll be this grease zerk right here. That one's a little easier to see there. Then you do also have a dipstick for the front axle here. So the way you check the front axle on this guy is you will unthread it, clean it off, set it right back on top of the threads like that, pull it out, and as long as you got fluid on there, you should be good to go. And that takes hydraulic oil if you ever do need to refill that there. If you do, it means you usually have a leak. If you do have a leak on the front axle, typically it will be these knuckle seals right here. These guys right here like to leak quite a bit sometimes if you leave the tractor in four-wheel drive, so it'll be these guys right in there. And you can usually see it because you'll see the hydraulic fluid pouring out of right here. But yeah. And then getting under hood on the tractor is very easy. You have a lever on this side over here. So you'll pull this little lever here. Once that guy is pulled, you want to grab your hood. It doesn't have any gas struts to assist you coming up, so you want to grab the hood at a decent grip there, lift it all the way up, and when you go all the way up, you want to make sure you go all the way up and come back down, just like that. There is a lock right in here, so this lock will keep the hood staying up right there. If you do need to bring the hood down, there's a release here, so you push the hood up a little bit, pull this back, that'll let the hood go down. So yeah, you always want to make sure you go all the way up so it locks out, hood doesn't come down slamming on you. Coolant reservoirs right here. You want to be about halfway or up to full with this guy. It takes 50/50 green universal coolant. You do have a radiator screen here that you want to blow out every 10 to 15 hours, once again just about once a month. Same thing with your air filter. They recommend you blow that out every 10 to 15 hours or at least once a month, depending on how dusty the conditions are where you're at. Batteries right here, real easy to put a battery tender on it if you want to. It's a generic 12-volt battery, so real easy to take care of. And then right over here on this side, you have all your belt adjustments. So you do have two belts on the tractor. One runs the alternator and the fan here, and the tensioner is going to be this bolt on the alternator. You loosen this guy up here, put a pry bar in here, and you can pry this alternator out, give it a little more tension, or vice versa. If you're changing out the belt, you loosen that bolt, push it in, you can change the belt out. Then you have your AC belt, which is this guy right here, and the pulley adjustment is right here. You tighten this guy up, it'll pull the pulley more out, therefore tensioning that belt a little more, or vice versa. If you're taking it off, you loosen that up, and then you can slip your belt off of there. But yeah, and then on the other side is going to be the engine oil fill and the dipstick for the engine oil as well. So right over here you have your engine oil fill right there. Engine oil dipstick is right here, and then right over here is your engine oil filter. As you can see, the tractor has been recently serviced here. But yeah, and that should be it for all this stuff here. Any questions? Alrighty. And then on the tractor here, one of the things we like to do on the tractors is we put this blue paint mark on all the bolts of the loader, on the front here and the rear down here. Same thing with the wheel bolts as well. If any of that stuff ever comes loose, you can see the blue paint has moved and you want to go ahead and retorque it. The torque spec is going to be in the owner's manual for the loader on the tractor. That'll have a torque table for all the bolts on the tractor if you ever want to retorque any of the bolts on it. Right here you have those color coded hydraulic lines. All this stuff will also be in the owner's manual if you're ever trying to remove the loader or anything like that, or troubleshoot the loader. But yeah. And then same thing back here. You have that blue paint mark on it. These tires actually have beet juice in them, so they're weighted. They have a liquid ballast in them, so if you check the tire pressure on it, you want to check it at the 12 o'clock position here. That way you don't get beet juice on you or any kind of water or anything like that. But yeah. And then you got a neat little toolbox back here. So there's a bungee cord in there, a couple of pins, all that kinds of stuff. Typically you want to use this bungee cord here when you don't have a 3-point attachment. It's actually a great learning point. You put this guy here, bring it over here. That way these don't slap into your tire or anything like that. And then if you do need to adjust them for the width of your box scraper or anything like that, you loosen up these stay chains right here on the sides. This will give you your adjustment for the arms coming in or going out. You can also use it to shift the implement one way or another, tightening one side more than the other, vice versa. And then this guy here is going to be the tilt link. So if you wanted to tilt a box scraper to one way or another, if you wanted to put a crown on a road or anything like that so the water goes off the edges, you can always tighten this up or loosen it up and it'll set you at a certain angle there. Same thing with this guy here. This is the top link. This will adjust your blade height if you have a box scraper or anything like that. If you're digging into the ground, or if you're setting the rippers into the ground, anything like that, this will adjust that height there. And then that should be it for the 3-point here. You can actually control it from the outside of the tractor as well, lowering it from there. Right now it's set pretty tight because of that rated descent adjustment was set up for the snowblower that was on it. So we can always loosen that up. But yeah, once you set this down, it'll drop these arms down, and then you can attach it to any implement you have. And then right here, these are the remote ports, that valve that I was showing you in there. So if you ever have any hydraulic attachment, that plugs right into there. And then you have a fuel filter right down here, real easy to get to. This is a fuel on and off. It's in Korean. I don't read Korean, but that's on right there. That's off right there. So if you're ever changing the fuel filter. And this guy right here is going to be a bleeder screw, so you just pull that guy out until you get fuel coming out of it, put it back in, you're good to go. It'll get fuel into that bowl, and that way when you start it up, the tractor doesn't run out of fuel. And then right over here is your fuel tank. So it's about a 7-gallon fuel tank. You want to use regular diesel from the pump, no red dye or anything like that, just because these newer diesels with injectors in them, they get a little more upset if you put red dye in them. So you just want to run stuff from the pump. And then during the winter time, you want to use an anti-gel additive that helps keep the fuel from gelling up, and it makes sure that your tractor always starts whenever there's snow outside. But yeah, and that should be it for all that stuff there. There's a hydraulic fluid check and fill on this tractor for the rear. So right here is going to be your oil fill. It's going to be this little red cap. As you can see, it's a little dirty here. But you loosen this guy. And then you fill right from there. And then the place where you're going to check it at is going to be back here on this orange piece right here. So this guy, you'll loosen that up. Pull it out, and as long as you're on this cross hatching here, you should be good to go. Alrighty. And that should be it. And then this guy here is your windshield washer fluid reservoir. So if you ever run out of windshield washer fluid, you just top it off right here, and that'll fill for both spots there. And that should be good. That should be it right there. Any questions? Alrighty. Do you feel educated?
A lot, yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, it's a lot of info to go over.
I'm glad I'm recording it.